Hi, my dear students, welcome to 8th standard. This year, from the history, we are going to study the first chapter, Sources, Unit 1. Introduction of the chapter, Sources. Dear students, do you know what is history? History is nothing but it is the record of the past events. So in this chapter we are going to learn about sources. So without sources we can't study the history. So that's why if we wanted to study history, we should have some witness. So we should know about the sources. So that's why many historians do arguments. They are like an advocates. So what they do? So they will do argument and critical analysis. Then they will write the history. So already I have told first question, what is history? History is nothing but it is the systematic study of the past events. So you should know what is history, first question in the introduction. Then sources. Let us come back to the sources. Already I told without sources we can't study history. So now how can we understand these sources? These sources are very important. So these sources give an ideas for all the historians to write the history. So in case if they won't get proper sources, so they can't write history. That time they have to make an assumption which are provided, which are available, some of the sources by using, so they write history. So now let us come back once again. Sources. If we take the sources, what is sources? So you know, my dear students, there are in the ancient time where human lead their life. So in order to lead their life, they have used many agricultural tools and some of the economic life, some of the trade, commerce, and they were doing, and many temples were the great examples. So now let us come back. Let us understand exactly what are the sources. Sources are nothing but they are actually human beings had created many facilities to lead their life. So hence they have remained the things which have used during their lifetime, they have remained on this earth. So that has become the source of history. They are called the sources. Have you understood? So it means human beings had created many facilities to lead their life since ancient times. So in order to lead their life, they have used many tools, agricultural tools. It may be many things like coins, inscriptions, arms, whatever the weapons they had used, so that have remained in the earth. So that is basically became a source of history. So that is only called sources. Okay, have you understood what are the sources? Now let us come back to the types of sources of history. So how can we understand this? The sources of history, already I told you. So we need, in case if you want to study the history, we need witness. So it is called sources. So through the help of the sources, we can study history. Or else simply we cannot accept the history without any witness or without any sources. So that's why we have divided the sources into two types mainly. So they are called, one is literary sources, second one is archaeological sources. So now today let us study deeply about written, that is literary sources. One is written literature and second one is oral literature. Okay, so today we are not going to study about the archaeological sources. So that one I am going to tell you in the next class deeply. So today we are going to discuss about the literary sources. The two types of literary sources are written literature and another one is oral literature. Okay. So in that written literature, we have divided into again two types. One is native literature, another one is foreign literature. So now let us understand what is written literature, literary sources. Okay. So now let us understand what is literary sources. In that literary sources, already I told you, one is native literature, another one is foreign literature. Okay. So these literature actually have been written by some of the historians. So they have made collection of some of the information. So in the day-to-day life, in the past event, what happened economically, religiously, or it may be administratively. So it was recorded by those people and written in the book. So that itself will become a written literature. They are the literary sources which they provide a lot of information about the past events, what exactly how the people were leading their life, and how based on what aspect they were living, and everything was recorded in the books. Okay, so written literature which was written by the historians, some of the historians in the form of writing, it is called written literature. Have you understood what I am telling?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is only they have given. Written literature means source of literary sources, literature that is can bring contemporary of social life, times where the writer alive to us, a literary work portrays the existing aspects of life either directly or indirectly. Okay, so that is about the literature. That's what I told you, that in that we have two types. One is one is native literature and foreign literature. Okay, let us come back. What is native literature? So written literature is divided into two. One is native, another one is a foreign. Native literature is nothing but, native literature means the literary books were written by the native that was written by the native languages. Okay, so that was written by the native poets. Okay, so then native literary writers. Okay, so it may be it will be in the native languages. It may be Sanskrit, it may be Kannada, Prakrit, and Hindi, Marathi. Okay, so these all will become the native languages which were written by the native writers, maybe within the country. Okay, they are, example, India, only Indian writers. They are called the native literary writers. Okay, but they have written. How can we understand this native writers or native literary word? So okay, so the example we can see some of the writers or some of the poets who are lived in the court of Akbar or in the court of Vijayanagara Empire, Krishna Devaraya. So we could understand. So they have seen the life of the kingdom and the life of the kings and the administration, and they have written in the form of a book. So that will become native writings. So now let us understand some of the native literary books, such as Harsha Bana Charita. Harsha wrote Bana Charita. Sorry, Bana wrote Harsha Charita. Bana Bhatta Bana wrote Harsha Charita. And you can understand again, Kautilya wrote Arthashastra. Arthashastra, the famous book, economic book, Arthashastra. Then Hala wrote Gata Saptasati. Hala. And Vishakadatta wrote Mudra Rakshasa. Then Kallana wrote Rajatarangini. and Bhanabhatta wrote Ashacharita. Okay, so these are some of the native literary books. Okay, so have you understood about the native writers and native literary books?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, now let us come back to the foreign literature. So it is very simple. So the books are writing literature, written works were written by the foreign poets or foreign travelers or foreign ambassadors. Okay, so those who have traveled to India and they have record the books seeing the kingdom administration, economic and religious, social aspects, and they have recorded the book. Those books which were written by the foreigners. The books which were written by the foreigners are known as foreign literature or foreign literary books. Okay, foreign travelers. Example. Okay, so many books were also written by foreigners who had visited India during the in the past time. Okay, example we can see the Chinese traveler who had visited to India. Example Yuan Sang and Fahian. So they are the travelers who had visited the Indian king's court. Okay, so they have written. Yuan Sang wrote CUP. Book was written by Yuan Sang, and Fahian wrote Gokoki. Fahian. So this is since this is there in Chinese language. So you have to. I will tell you in the next class how to pronounce. Okay, Yuan Sang and Fahian. So this Yuan Sang and Fahian wrote some books. One is CUP. Fahian wrote Gokoki. And Megasthenes wrote Indica. Megasthenes wrote Indica. So like that, many books were even written by foreign writers. So that has become foreign literature. So now next one we will understand in the foreign literature and native literature. So then, and one more literature we have, that is oral literature. Oral literature. So in the written literature, the two types of literary sources are, one is written literature is one is native literature, foreign literature, and another one is oral literature. This one we have divided separate because this is not there in the written form. That's why it is called oral literature. What is oral literature? Oral literature is nothing but they have spread from one mouth to another mouth, or from one generation to another generation orally. It is not, we don't have any document based on the writing. Example, some of the songs which were folk songs which was sung by the people, those who work in the field, so that will not be written by anybody, but that song will be spread from one mouth to another mouth, so the people just copy it and they sing. So that has spread from one mouth to another mouth, from one generation to another generation. So this is called oral literature. Oral literature. It may be many folk songs, folk ballads, many you can say that legends, then some of the poems, okay, and where we don't find any particular poets, okay. So these are some of the examples, okay. So okay, that is about the ballads also, ballads and legends. So, and also mythological stories. Mythological stories means they are not the true stories. Just some story will be there. So they don't have particular. We cannot believe actually. So that has become the mythological story. Okay. So that if I have time, I will tell you one of the mythological story in the next class. What is mythological story? But it's not a true story. And legends. When we come to the legends, even it is not a legend is not a no true story, but it is based on the particular place. Okay, it will be having only a local history. So that is considered as a legend. And also we can say Dantakate. Okay, in Kannada. That is called legend. Okay, legend and mythological story similarly the same. Okay, and what is ballad? Ballad also explains about the people those who have done some of the achievement during their lifetime. So they describe about them or their local hero and heroines. Okay, and based on their achievements such as Kitturu Chennamma, Kempe Gowda, and Vanike Obava, and some of the Sindhura Lakshmana, and some of them are notable in the legend ballads. Okay, so Tipu Sultan, Sangoli Rayana, these are the great example for the ballads. Okay, for the ballads. Ballads means they create. There are ballads, so many ballads. So in that, what they do, they create of their. They will describe about their local hero and heroines. That will become local ballads. That is also known as ballads. So this is about the oral literature. What is oral literature? Oral literature is nothing but it is maybe many folk songs, many folk legends which are spread from one mouth to another mouth or from one generation to another generation. Okay, so that is about the oral literature. So, and also some of the places also available, some of the legend places. As I told that some of the places will having legend names. Example, Bangalore. Okay, so Bangalore, actually there is a reason for that. Why it is called Bangalore? Okay, so since some of them actually they called it was Bendakadu. Okay, so through that name the Bangalore name came. Then Shravana Belagola. Okay, so then Koppada, Pattadakallu, then Gokarna, and these are some of the legend places. Mysuru. Similarly, every village and town have their own legends. So places and some of the folk songs, they are also legends. Some of the stories, these are also some of the great examples for the oral literature. Okay. Thank you so much. Do you have any doubt, my dear students?
Yes, sir. Folk songs, believing in folk songs are correct.
Okay, I will sing in the next class. Thank you.